everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how you can start to think about what you might study for your own model to build. And so we remember VLODs, we see this very specific pattern that we've been considering about going viral or the decline after going viral. So you can see here's his most viral song, and then we have a very specific pattern after that. And we call this pattern, unlike a straight linear pattern that falls like this, we call this kind of a skyrocketing pattern. And so it has moments of being slow and flat. You could see if we extended this would get really flat. And then there's some point where it's not just quadratic, like a parabola would keep going like this, but rather there's this aspect of skyrocketing up or skyrocketing down, depending on reading left to right. So you want to think about what in the world that you know follows this same pattern, and in fact, could you come up with an equation because it's so predictable, so specific that you could build an algorithm for it? Obviously, there's a lot of places to look. Like we know that Bitcoin stock price had a moment of exponential curve if you look at it over 5 years. So there's that exponential curves. A lot of popular stocks that you've heard of have followed that trend. So that's one place that you could get data. One that you might not have heard of that is really fun to play around that I want you to look at today is looking at trends on Google. And so for instance, if I thought of something viral like Beyonce's Lemonade album. And up here, I can change the 2004 through present. I can see that it went viral right about in 2016. And then up here, I can see actually it follows like this perfect exponential pattern after its skyrocket in April 2016. So I could either study its exponential growth or the exponential decline after it has gone viral. Either side's of popularity or going viral work. So now that I know that it's happening in April 2016, I want to be able to actually see kind of the data point a little closer up. So I'm going to click custom time range up here, and we're going to go from March 2016 to maybe like through June or the summer of 2016, August 2016. So we can look at that a little more closely. And so now we have some better understanding of what those data points look like. I could even get a little closer. Let's see. We went April through June. And we can see, okay, here's the viral, and then here's kind of the fall from being viral. So that is one thing that I could study, the fall of Beyonce's Lemonade. And if you are a level 6 student, something to become curious about is, are Beyonce fans predictable? Or in other words, for other Beyonce fans, did this loss of interest follow the same exact pattern? Now, one thing to wonder about is what does our x-axis and y-axis represent? So you'll notice that our x-axis is pretty easy. It's specific dates that Google collects. And then on the left-hand side, this is interest on a Google interest rating. And it's not a percentage. It's like their own measurement system and their own algorithm that really, it tries to measure the relative popularity in any particular week compared to when the search term was most popular. So when the search term was most popular, the most people around the world were searching it, that's when you see 100. And then they have an algorithm, and if you search it and you research it, I have never been able to find exactly what goes into that algorithm, but I do know that these are relative popularities compared to that most popular point. So that's what we work with along the x-axis, Google interest rating out of 100. You could compare it to something here, but because it's relative, they're a little harder to see what the exact patterns are. So in a new tab, if you go to trends.google.com, what would be another Beyonce album that would be fun to look at? Let's look at the most recent one. No, because that was specific. We'll look at Dangerously in Love. Do we have that though? No, that was 2003. Let's look at Homecoming, because Google Trends starts in 2004. Beyonce Homecoming. So we can see there's that exponential curve again, and we're wondering, does it follow the same trend as the other album we were looking at? And so that looks like it would be April 14th, 2019. Oh, it's interesting that she releases albums in April. We'll go like April 1st, 2019 through June. And there we can see that fall after it went viral on its release date. So comparing those two, would they follow the same exact trend? Well, one's a little smoother. I'm guessing Google was collecting more data points then. And one is a little rougher. But I wonder if you threw it into Desmos, how those two would compare in terms of losing interest over time. It's interesting to wonder about. I wonder why these peaks existed in on April 29th of 2016, somewhere around Lemonade. Whereas this one just had a nice smooth decline of interest. But if you average those points out and fit a model to them, would they follow the same pattern? I don't know. So that would be a level 6 thing to explore. You would end up building 2 models for your project. Another obvious one that would be similar to this type of project, looking at album releases, would be looking at video game releases. Either their the rise to peak interest or the fall right after the game release, where everyone lost the pattern of losing interest in that thing that just got released. So those are things to play around with on Google Trends, or you could go back to Google and look for some different data collections.